A lot of Zambians have been speculating and wondering what political party is going to win 2021 general elections. Is it going to be UPND or PF? So in today's episode, we are going to be looking at a few data-driven points, and we're also going to look at history plus a few statistics as well, because there has been a lot of speculations out there. For example, Avena Sia one talking about supernatural power, this, Godfather, that. So today we are just going to be looking at the actual data. So let me just give you a huge disclaimer. I am non-partisan. I do not really care who's going to win next year's elections. UPND, PF, Chakuti party, it doesn't really matter, because my concern is Zambia's welfare. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, saying, okay, what's this guy talking about? Why is he talking about politics? You see, politics affects our daily lives because different political parties have got different agendas, different manifestos, and these policies affect our pockets. So whether you like it or not, you are affected by the political climate in Zambia. So what you can do as a patriotic citizen of this country, you have to really scrutinize, analyze, and really be of sound judgment, because by the end of the day, your vote really matters, and you really have to dive deep into the different policies and agendas that these different political parties are going to be bringing to the table. With that said, I am not a political analyst. I am not also a financial advisor. Everything that I'm going to be talking about is purely speculation, okay? And it is obviously going to be my own personal opinion. So, yeah, just had to put that out there in case of, legal implications. So anyhow, first of all, we need to talk about Zambia's history. Zambia has been ruled by three political parties so far: UNIP, MMD, and now we're being ruled by PF. And every time there was a shift in the political atmosphere, political sphere in Zambia, right? One catalyst really propelled that shift in government, and that was the financial and the economic status of Zambia. For example, those of us who were privileged to be alive during the UNIP days, bread, all the basic commodities in Zambia were missing. And a lot of people really got affected by that. If you really want to offend and upset Zambians, just attack their stomachs. Make them poor. If you do that, they're going to eat you alive. They are going to skin you alive. No matter what you say, I'm a Zambian, you're going to be the number one enemy. It doesn't really matter how humble you might be. It doesn't really matter how good you might be. But if you affect Zambian people's stomachs, you are going to be chased out. With that said, in 1991, when the movement for multi-party democracy came in, right? People were suffering, and they used that particular situation to propel their agenda. There was even a particular point in Zambia's history whereby UNIP zone abarisa shupikwa fie bakangiwa charisa shupa fie. That is why they handed over power to the new vibrant crop of Zambians that were led by, may he so rest in peace, Dr. Frederick Chiluba. That is what happened. Then fast forward a few years later, like a few decades later, MMD, corruption this, mismanagement that, shinganananyoko, fintu vyarisa, wafe waste number after even privatization of our most valuable assets. That's when everything went to the dogs. When that happened, and in 2008, when there was the global financial crisis, okay, that's when PF manifesto really sunk in. May he so rest in peace, Michael Chilufya-Sata, he did a very good job in terms of hammering in the message. More money in your pockets. He used a very, very simple yet effective mantra. More money in your pockets. Anybody, ngawakudundu mwezi, ngawakushangombo, if you just say more money in your pockets, everybody knows we're talking about kaduda, indalama, ulubone, and all that good stuff. That time, people were suffering because MMD ran its course. And then there was a global financial crisis, quite global. Mweba come 2008, I'm sure you remember how a lot of prominent Zambian companies, if you talk about mining companies, kukopa belt, if into fiarisa lungula, fiarisa afezona bruto. And that really, that really propelled the shift in attitude towards the ruling government. So what I'm trying to say, is the economy of Zambia plays a huge role in terms of how the citizens feel about a certain political party or a ruling government. Sometimes abantu, they just, sort of vote out a particular political party because they want to give chance to another crop of leaders so that they can try them out, so that they can give them a chance to sort of make a difference in terms of improving their livelihoods. Okay, with that said, let me talk about how a revolution starts. If you really want to have an effective revolution in a country, right, you have to deal with two types of classes of citizens. You have to concentrate on the low-class citizens and the middle-class citizens, because the high-class citizens, right, these guys don't really care about anything. They don't really care so long their money is not really affected. And what is really happening right now, the middle-class Zambians are sliding into low-class citizens, because if into na fidula, the average salary in Zambia should be around 6,000 kwacha. Or it could be like less than 10,000 kwacha. That's the average, salary for a middle class income earner. So if you take a look at that information, right? If you look at the basic necessities, the commodities, if you do not fidula, wunga skyrocketing, cooking oil skyrocketing, shinganana skyrocketing. So these guys are like, wait a minute, what's happening? I'm really working, but nothing is like really improving my livelihood. Why am I really becoming so poor? Is it because of what? Maybe niba chagwa, maybe niba PF. You see? So if you take a look at the market sentiment, so by the way, we've done like a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning as far as the sentiments in Zambia are concerned. We are using like a whole lot of different data points, because I'm not really going to get into the nitty-gritties and the secrets, because like so if you take a look at the data farming that has been done as far as Zambia is concerned, right, there's a huge shift in the sentiment of citizens, especially the middle class earners, the middle class people. And just like I told you, right, if you really want to have an effective campaign, make sure your message resonates with the low class, because the low class people are the majority of Zambians. And if you can manage to persuade the middle class people as well, then you're done. You are definitely done with, and you have won the people's hearts, if I can put it that way. So with those few facts, right, that I have given you, and now you understand where I'm coming from, right? Let me give you a few reasons why I really think that the Zambian economy by next year, by August 2021, is really going to be performing poorly, very bad. First of all, you have to understand that we are having the coronavirus, which is like an impending problem, which is not really going away. So as much as we want to like step on it and just overlook it, it is a factor in determining whether we are going to be progressing from an economy, from a financial point of view, right? So if you take a look at what's really happening in Zambia, right, we are now beginning to experience a dramatic rise in terms of the coronavirus infections. And you already saw what happened in South Africa. But South Africa, there's a lot of people dying. Hospitals are really running out of drugs. They don't really have the capability of dealing with this issue. No mbanga na mi pusha. South Africa, na abafuma fuaka bad. What more Zambia? If our healthcare system is very, very shaky, there's a lot of mismanagement. Stable fuel. Let's just call a spade a spade. There's a lot of mismanagement. Our healthcare system is pretty bad. Mipamba sheka sheka. South Africa has got like a better healthcare system. South Africa is way advanced in terms of their health facilities, their hospitals, and a whole lot of different things. But fuakana efuma. Now what's really going to happen in Zambia if this virus really gets out there full blown? You saw how these leaders that we have, I won't mention any names, moving with political cadres everywhere, just infecting each other, spreading the virus. You see, in order for the infections to skyrocket, right? Just give it 2 months, give it 3 months, you see how the numbers, how the corona infections are going to be crazy. Right now, we don't even have the facility to do proper testing. We don't really know exactly how deep this issue is. So moral of the story is coronavirus is really accelerating the financial and economic crisis of Zambia and the rest of the world. With that said, we are seeing different factors at play. For example, the COVID fund has been relegated, or it is being used for other things like, developing the roads, which I thought they had specific money targeting this particular expense, but mismanagement of funds, nafuti. Now what's happening is we are using our COVID stimulus package, our COVID funds that we are supposed to be just with guarding for lack of a better term, just holding on dearly, because the COVID is full blown. We are diverting those funds and we're putting them kumisebo. I thought my expenses, misebo, they were already catered for. Now, that COVID money that we're supposed to use when things really go left, that money is not going to be there. That money is going to be used already. When this situations gets out of hand, people are going to be complaining. People are going to be angered. People are going to be agitated. People are going to be frustrated. Who are they going to blame? Of course, the leaders. Who are the current leaders? The current presiding government. When that happens, people are just going to be harboring all this anger. People are going to be just furious. With that said, now that you understand how coronavirus is really affecting a whole lot of countries out there, for example, America ali fumafuaka, America ali dida, what's more Zambia? When we experience like a full lockdown for 3 months, how many people are going to be able to survive? Because in Zambia, we just do nani, we don't have good savings whereby we can go 6 to 12 months without earning any salary and just being fine. Everything that we make, we spend. Now, what's going to happen if there's going to be like a full lockdown? If we don't have a full lockdown, right? So we are obviously going to be in a dilemma whereby we don't really know exactly what to do because everything is bad. All the choices that we are going to be able to make are going to be very bad. So there's absolutely no redemption from this. It's just a matter of time till things go really, really bad. And every choice that we have is equally bad as well. You know, if you have a full lockdown, abantu barafone ensala. Abantu bafone ensala. If you let people go about their daily lives, then the virus is going to be spreading like crazy. So this one, na ishupa. And on top of that, the money that is supposed to be used on extreme conditions when the coronavirus is obviously full blown is being used to, it's being used to develop roads and all that stuff. With that said, now let's talk about the world economic situation, because I really want you to like see the full picture. Okay, we are going to be looking at the S&P 500, right? Of course, there's other things like the Nasdaq 100, the German index. There's a whole lot of different financial tools that you can use in order for you to determine whether we are going to be entering a recession. So let's just do that. By the way, I'm using tradingview.com. You can also do your own, financial due diligence. So as you can see, the S and P 500 is obviously experiencing some sort of market highs. We are extremely overbought, and anytime in the near future, we are most likely going to end up having a correction, because according to this data, right, the last time that we had this type of correction was in during the end of 2007. In 2008, the whole of 2008, we were experiencing a market correction. This is one of the reasons why you were able to feel the global recession. Global. This happened in 2007 all the way to about 2009. And this happened after we previously had an all-time high right over here. And the last time this happened was in about 2001. I'm sure you guys remember the dot-com bubble, where a lot of companies were very overvalued, and then we obviously saw this massive correction right over here. So a global recession is a healthy market correction. It usually happens like every decade or every other decade, and as you can see right now, we are having a situation where we are literally at this particular threshold where anytime things might really go left. However, we are not going to experience an immediate global recession, because America is going to be having its general elections in November. The American people are going to be going to the, ballot booths to sort of cast their votes. So what's really happening right now is the feds, the Federal Reserve Agency, or the federal government, or whatever you guys call them, the feds, they are doing quantitative easing. They are pumping money to stimulate the economy, because if they don't do this, there's going to be a financial crisis, Maido. So this is one of the reasons why the feds, they are pumping in money like crazy. This is one of the reasons why we had this massive buyback in terms of the crash. Remember in March, right? In March, we experienced this downtrend, and then we had this massive correction, and right now we are actually trying to break the previous all-time high. So what is happening? This is an artificial rally. Ite rally yama retail investors like you and I. This is done by the feds. They are just printing trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars to stimulate the economy, because America is going to be voting in November, and it would be a bad look for our boy Donald Trump. You just know how much pride Donald Trump has. So he has to do whatever it takes to sort of withhold the market and really prevent it from crashing and just bleeding. So this is one of the reasons why we are experiencing this artificial pump. And if you take a look at the weekly time interval, right, we're still looking at the S&P 500, right? We obviously had this massive correction because, sometimes even though the feds are stimulating the economy and just with holding this stock market, right, you can only do it for a long period, for so long. until the masses sort of have that, enlightenment, and just basically get to have like a shorter sell-off, and then the Feds are obviously going to be buying back everything. So moral of the story is, anytime after November 2020, the world is going to experience another recession, global recession, because right now we are basically having an artificial rally. If this market was if it was like a normal market situation, we would have already been having the market correction. But since Donald Trump and the Feds can't really allow that to happen, because it's a bad look, because America is going to be having their general elections in November, the Feds are quantitative easing, and they are basically withholding the stock market and the economy. So best believe after our elections, let's say February 2021 onwards, anytime there's going to be a global crisis, because one, there's already a lot of pending debts. Zambia is also a culprit. We own a lot of debt. Our debt is really, really, really huge in comparison to our GDP. So we are going to be affected pretty bad. And when that happens, when the global crisis happens next year, anytime next year, I'm sure we're going to be experiencing the effects close to about August 2021. If that happens, people are really going to be more furious, because their stomachs are going to be affected. Remember in 2008, by the way, let me show you the 2008 global financial crisis, because you need to see this. I know a lot of you experienced it, but you need to see the actual data. This was 2007, 2008. This particular market correction, area global mwale. That's when a lot of Zambian companies were going down. A lot of Zambian companies were shutting. A lot of people lost their jobs and all that stuff. This was because of this market correction. When that happens, a lot of companies in Zambia are going to end up closing shop. A lot of mining companies, Vamopani, KCM, Vashinganananyuko, because everything is interconnected. The people who are funding these operations, these mines, they are coming from Kugulaya. And when they get affected, they are no longer going to be pumping money into these particular markets. When that happens, Shimaini, Namaini, Vonse, they are going to be affected. The copper belt is going to be affected. When the copper belt is affected, that's obviously, Copper Belt and Northwestern Province right now are the Zambian economic engines, because this is where we are getting the mineral resources. If they get affected, the general market, or rather citizen sentiments, are also going to shift, because in Sala, you have Furisha. Okay? And then if you take a look at what has been happening, there are early signs of the next coming global financial crisis, because, for example, Mopani is trying to commence their care and maintenance. It's just a fancy way of saying, Bagamba, we're not already being profitable, and we're running out of money in our coffers. We need to get up out of here. That's what that means. Care and maintenance. Mukayomvama care and maintenance. KCM, Shingananani Ukomine, Shingananani Ukomine. Laying off people losing their jobs, etc. because global recession, yabuela na futi. You get what I mean? So when that happens, Abantu, they'll react. How are they going to react? By bringing in new crop of leaders, because they feel, okay, maybe if we try these guys, maybe if we try that. Because according to Zambia's history, MMD, that's how they got into power. PF, that's how they got into power. So you see the connection. The economy, the financial status of low class and middle class citizens really play a huge role. Now, a lot of you might be saying, okay, boss, what of a rigging of elections? You already know that Zambia doesn't really have free and fair elections. It's easy, man. Let's just call a spade a spade. Zambia doesn't really have free and fair elections. This is one of the reasons why you are now beginning to see tactics to sort of do this. For example, number of former prisoners vote. Why? Because they know that prisoners in Zambia, they make a significant portion of the population. If last general elections, PF just won by a few 100,000 points, right? What if prisoners? You know that a prisoner doesn't have the accurate data to make sound decisions. In developed nations, convicted felonies don't even have a driving license. But in Zambia, you want them to vote. They do not really have the ability to make sound decisions because their access to information is very limited. Moreover, if you want political parties to go and spread their agenda, their manifesto in these different political, in these different prisons, right? They obviously need to get state permission. They obviously need to work with the government, and the government is being controlled by PF. So how are they going to be able to perfectly put out their agenda there? So you see, these tactics, it doesn't really take rocket science for one to know that this is just a ploy to sort of manipulate next year's, results. If you look at other things that these people are doing, which I'm not even going to get into right now, these are just backup plans in order for them to sort of gain some momentum if they really get, overtaken in terms of the votes. So these are the different issues that we are supposed to be looking at and thinking about. But what I really wanted to talk about is it doesn't really matter. Whoever is going to win next year's general elections, what we need to do as citizens is we need to put them on their toes. Muntwandi 2021, Tidimo investments, Tidimo, we are going to be putting these checks and balances. And the other messed up mentality, sorry for using that phrase for lack of a better phrase, Zambian people are very reluctant. It's a good thing and a bad thing as well. The thing is, when we elect people, right, we just sit back. Let them just do their own thing without offering any checks and balances. And then we usually love to check back after 5 years. After 5 years, that's when we're going to be like, okay, bane, muwombere pesa. So after 5 years, we need to be giving checks and balances every day. Whenever we see something wrong, we go to the streets, we march, we protest, we do anything that is needed in order for those checks and balances to be sort of there so that the country is developing. You see, everything that usually happens has got a long-term effect. The problem about us Zambians and us Africans is we have a short-term perspective on anything, or rather on everything, on a lot of things. Tulalava sana. Not so long ago, less than a century, we were colonized. But tuarilava, we've forgotten how we were fighting for our independence. Right now, we are retrogressing. We are going back, muvusha. Slowly, and these steps gradually happen bit by bit. Drip, drip. Panono. But as you're again slaves, again you're fighting for independence. Your most vulnerable, well-respected assets. What's going to happen in the next coming 10 to 50 years? And the thing is, you high-class citizens, yes, I'm talking to you, mweba wina, mweba kwata privilege ya kubombera nani, mu Zambia, mu government, mweba fola impieshing, mweba nonka. I'm talking to you. You see, life is made up of cycles. It's like a pendulum. It swings back and forth. Today you are on top, tomorrow you're at the bottom. Today you're in the middle, tomorrow you might be at the base, and vice versa. So what a lot of rich Zambians forget is to fight for justice and to go against injustice. Mweba kwa totupoto mu government, you know, you might be a minister. You are forgetting that one day you are not going to be having that particular position. You are going to be struggling with the rest of Zambians. For example, I'm pensioners. They're struggling to get their money. You're also going to retire. God forbid, you might end up being in an accident. Our healthcare system is very bad. What happens if you no longer have the capability, the facility to afford all those luxurious treatments? Life is a cycle. If you allow mediocrity, this same mediocrity is going to find you and you are going to be affected. So it doesn't really matter whether you are a well-to-do Zambian. When you see injustice being done, speak out, because tomorrow it's going to be your daughter, it's going to be your son, even God forbid it's going to be you, and you are going to experience firsthand the things that the regular Zambians are experiencing. So just because today you are well off and you've got these privileges, you are well connected, it doesn't really mean that when people come out on social media, when people try to talk, because you can't really feel that pain, you can't really relate at this particular moment, next time it's going to be you, because life is a cycle. There's ups and downs. There's going to be points, parts of your life where you are going to be doing very well. There's going to be parts of your life where you're going to rely on other people to lift you. So if you are not really playing your role to propel Zambia to the next level, the same messed up Zambia is the one that you're going to be dealing with. The same bad healthcare system that we have in Zambia, when you no longer can afford the luxurious health treatment for you and your children. Mukabasanga ama nurses, mukasanga nani, muma hospitals tamuri ama drugs, muma hospitals muri, filthy equipment and all that stuff. So what you need to do is you need to do whatever it takes to propel this nation to the next level, because by the end of the day, you are also going to experience the same things that the regular Zambians are experiencing. Let me give you a practical example. The issue of political cadres, as we usually refer to them, Simon Mwewalen has got like a very good explanation on, the word cadre, the way he says it. Political cadres have been given so much power. Yeah, now they are forming their own military, their own militia. And what happened? Police because they were feeding that beast. If you're feeding that particular beast, right, that beast is going to outgrow you and is going to devour you. Nomba baba kapokora na bamona ati bama political cadres abanga towapela sana NTP na if we are going to be affected. Okay? So that is what happens. That's just the cycle of life. If you are promoting mediocrity, that same mediocrity is going to be affecting you. You're also going to be affected one way or the other. It's just a matter of time. Bakapokora bari bapuma kuma cadres, because Bakapokora were taking everything for granted. They were allowing political cadres to do everything that they want. Now they are starting to bite them. That's how regular Zambians are feeling. That's how other Zambians who belong to other political parties are feeling when they get, beaten up by these prominent political, cadres. So when you allow injustice anywhere, you are allowing injustice everywhere. So what you need to do as a patriotic Zambian, speak out, correct the situation. When you see that something is wrong, issue a statement. Do whatever it takes in your power to correct that situation, because sooner or later, you are definitely going to be going through that same particular situation. Okay, so don't keep quiet. Okay, it's high time we started talking about things and just calling spades a spade. And by the way, a lot of people have been saying, okay, about Z corner, okay, Avena Muna. Now, mumona ba PF, now by the TM7, now by the infrastructural development. We should tamude tota. You see, it's very easy to impress people that don't really look beyond what's on the surface. You understand? To A person who doesn't really know how those infrastructure developments were funded, facilitated for. Abantu bakala tota. If you take a look at the roads, yes, emisabona abakula today totera mwabomba. But how did you get that money to fund those roads? And what's the long-term effects of that particular action? You see, all these infrastructure developments that you're saying, in Congo that were gotten at very high, extreme, exorbitant rates. In Congo, pakapitama decades today, what's going to happen to these infrastructure developmental projects? Imisevo, you need to pretty much retouch and repair and just sort of maintain them every season. You need to go back and patch the roads, and that costs money. In the meantime, the loan that we got in Congo, interest just stacking on top of each other, one by one. Yes, we love the fact that they made an effort, but the approach that they did, the manner that they did in order for them to fund those types of developmental projects was not really done in the smartest way. The most important thing that you really need to do in order for you to sort of change a particular society, a country, first of all, you have to deal with the basic impending problems. It doesn't really matter whether emisebo shisuma not kwatama shopping malls abantunga bale chula. What does that matter? What difference does it make? What we need to do is we need to find solutions to the root cause of the problem. The problem is having an environment where we are able to facilitate our own income. If they borrowed money, they could have invested it in things that really provide and supplement further income generating ventures. You know, in Congole, you need to approach in Congole very carefully. In Congole, at least use it for something that is going to be paying back that particular loan, because these roads, these infrastructure developments, they are not really providing or producing a lot of money which is going to allow us to pay for those loans. But if we got loans and we invested in gold refineries, we invested in crude oil exploration, we've got crude oil in Zambia, we've got natural gas. If we got that money every penny on the dollar, if we invested in assets that are really going to be producing revenue and income for the next coming 50 years, right? In Congo, they should have very easy. But the thing is, we get in Congo, we spend it on liabilities, by the way, because they're not really producing enough money to supplement their loans. So it's a liability to us. We're spending money on that. And when that happens, you saw what happened. COVID funds are being diverted into road developmental projects. I thought you got loans for that. What are you doing? So this is one of the reasons why, to me, I don't really see the reason why we should be having nice roads, we should be having thousands or hundreds of shopping malls when the middle class and the low class citizens can't really afford it. For a few rich people, for a few foreigners who are in Zambia benefiting more than the local citizens, what are you doing? It's better we invest that money into money generating ventures. A lot of you are going to be saying, okay, these things are providing some sort of income. I want to sure if they were providing enough income, let's say I'm a toll gate. If the toll gates and the road taxes that we pay, if they were providing enough income, do you think we were going to be diverting the COVID funds into facilitating those developmental projects? I bet you we wouldn't. We wouldn't. So these things are not really providing or rather producing enough money, enough revenue for the country to even facilitate its own developmental projects. So what's really going to be happening to our loans? By the way, they're trying to renegotiate their loans because vakangiwa. And by the way, when I use vakangiwa, I'm not really specifically attacking anybody. I'm just saying the people who are responsible for these loans, you know? So we really need to be very, very careful in terms of what we praise. All right. So from a very untrained eye, right? Kula totafe. Okay, now panga flyover bridge, but how was it funded? To me, that's not really impressive. Why should I be clapping for you when I know that you are further digging my ditch? Why should I applaud you for that? What's there to clap about? On the contrary, if you invested in gold refineries, that is an applaudable event. Because that gold refinery is really going to allow us to be able to export not only raw gold, but we are going to be able to put it out there on the market at higher fees. This is one of the reasons why copper, we just say Zambia is one of the largest producers of copper in the world. But because we are exporting raw material, we do not really improve those things. What we need to do right now is just put our foot on the ground and just say, okay, bantu apa, as far as copper and other mineral resources are concerned, right? We are going to be refining them. We are not really going to be exporting them as raw as they are. We are going to be improving and adding value. It's all about value addition. Okay? When we do that, we're going to be getting better prices. We're going to be having more employment because we're going to be able to have refineries, factories where people can be further employed. Like that, now we can So, Vane, all these developmental structures that you're saying, yes, to the untrained eye, but how is that being funded? What is the cost in the future? Right now, our GDP in comparison to our debt is pretty mediocre. You know, Dr. Luvinda Havazoka will give you this, testimony. It's really mediocre because one, we can't even provide enough electricity for ourselves. Moreover, in the 21st century, artificial intelligence robots that are able to carry out tasks. If we nama light, we are failing to provide the needed energy capacity in Zambia. Today, we are failing in 21st centuries whereby we've got graduates. We are failing. Today, 20 years, we still can't only provide 3,500 megawatts of electricity. In order for Zambia to have sufficient electricity, we need about 3,500 megawatts of electricity. Right now, we are under producing that. We're having like 1,800 megawatts. So there's a deficiency of energy which is being supplied. One, because we only have Kariba Dam. We only have a few places that are able to, generate this electricity. And there's a lot of confusion. ZESCO, CEC, and all that stuff. Of course, His Excellency Edgar Lungu, I think there's going to be the Mamba collieries that is also going to be providing some electricity. I hope that's really going to work out in the near future. And we're trying to have some alternative energy sources. We're trying to get into solar. So if that works out, tukatota. But at this particular moment, Zambians are not really having enough electricity. How are you going to propel the economy when people don't have access to basic necessities like water and electricity? If the Zambian citizens are not able to sort of improve their lives, how is our GDP going to be improved? Meanwhile, we invest in roads, In shopping malls, these assets are not really providing enough money to facilitate all the loan payments that we need to make. By the end of it, again futhi twawerera ku bantu mutwerereko ze big that's firo ku weshenkongole mutwerereko again. You see, guys, we really need to pull up our socks. Right now, we're supposed to be investing in mental assets. You know, people who can think, people who can analyze and propel this nation to a whole new level from a psychological and intellectual point of view. You see, guys, we can no longer experiment. Instead of experiment, chipante policies, pulukutu. Maybe Nara and Gishago, we can't afford to do that. We need think tanks. We need to get the best Zambians. We need to make, we need people who know exactly what they're talking about, and we need to give these people power, because if we just continue to pante policies, pulukutu, we are never ever going to reach anywhere. We need think tanks. We need to cultivate a society where mediocrity is rebuked. It is an abomination. We need to just inculcate and just put forth this notion. From now on, we need to stop. If you are mediocre to the fire, we need to really pull up our socks. Ever since independence, Zambia hasn't really done anything. Mwebantu bakwalesa ne kariba dam abale tena mu fedro muna 19 pendef kondo vaisa vapanga hydroelectric power station nanombo tulevo mpya surely mu 2020 surely akale alatire posa kwa mano. By this time we should be doing amazing things. We've got every natural resource out there. Think we're so blessed, but we citizens were allowing we are propelling this culture. If we continue doing that, forever we're just shooting ourselves on the foot. So it's your problem, it's my problem. So that's why we need to go out there. We need to sensitize the people. We need to talk about issues that really affect the development of Zambia, the policies, and by the way, we need to find out what these political parties are going to be doing. What policies do they have? Because it's not just about aka red and aka green. You see? It's about policies. What policies really make you better than the previous government? What are you going to do differently? Tell us your manifesto. Break everything down. We need to be having debates. We need to be having debates with these leaders, because they just talk about vague stuff. Just vague, non-essential stuff. What do you mean more money in my pockets? How do you mean more money in my pockets? How are you going to facilitate that idea? Are you going to reduce the tax? Yala Bashan, how is the more money going to get into my pocket? So we need to really have a culture, citizens that really scrutinize and analyze things. And then we can only do that if the IQ of our society increases. This is one of the reasons why here on Z Corner, we try by all means to, give issues that really open your eyes, and that really ends up highlighting or rather enlightening you. You get what I mean? So if you take a look at our previous post, there's just like things that are really relevant to the development of Zambia and to the development of you as a person. So we try by all means not to things that are not even really relevant. So it's all about educating the society. If the society is educated, then a lot of mediocre stuff are going to be zero, capiche. It's going to be done with. So anyhow, it's been about 50 minutes. Yeah. So, I don't have like any personal vendetta with anybody. I don't really care. PF, UPND, it doesn't really matter. All that we really care about is the development of Zambia. So, I really hope that I was very respectful. as far as giving the message, because sometimes it might really get emotional and because I didn't have any script. Free flow, free flow, you know. So if I offended anybody out there, it's just that now if we misepela na tuisa bane, and we're not asking for permission. We're here, and you have to acknowledge our presence. You know, our demeanor, our spirit has to be acknowledged. So we have to work together, and iron sharpens irons. Abantu barandati amano yafumine muifwesa ya kuchulu, and vice versa. We need the older generation to guide us. The older generation needs us to sort of continue their legacy. So we need to work together. So I would also love to take this humble opportunity to appeal to the youths out there. Please, guys, apabakamba notifia mwenso fiakola tina. You can always do it respectfully. You don't need to go out there insulting people and just coming up with false accusations. Whatever you talk about, if you come on social media, make sure you've got evidence, make sure you've got, backup in terms of the facts that you are producing. Let's not get emotional. Let's be very rational, and let's make sure we provide all the needed incentives and things that I really need to propel our country. Charity begins at home. Start in your neighborhood. Start with your family. Educate walupwadwenu. Mubeba ta, ifintu ni zona so, ama policy ni zona so. That's how it happens. Okay? Don't wait to be given an opportunity. Akapoto, that's when you start talking. Start from where you are. You can do it. You don't need to be a political cadre. You don't need to be a bootlicker. By the way, I really hate bootlicking, and I hate avashta bootlick. That's like the lowest way a man can ever sink in the ground. A grown man. Anyway, okay, so my names are Mnalula, founder of Take Abantu. We do a whole lot of stuff, data-driven stuff. We help people, influential figures. Anyway, let me not even go into that, because it's going to seem as if I'm trying to promote my services, you know. So it is what it is. Not to fika. Take care, enjoy, and have a great day. Be blessed.